very short up here. My name's Alicia Johnson, for those of you that don't know me. My husband, Michael, is here in the third row. And this series, this month, we're talking about money and stewardship. And I'm going to talk about why our family gives our money to church, and specifically to this church. So just a little background. This was our sixth move in 15 years. Michael's a very talented HR person, and he was with his last company for 23 years, and we moved to different businesses, 2 overseas and 4, I guess, in the U.S. And I think it was last January, he came to me and he said, "What do you think about moving to Maine?" And I was like, okay. I mean, we had just moved to Illinois. We'd been there about 16 months. And I said, okay, sure, you know. And he said, well, this company, IDEX, has called me, and they want me to come interview for them for their top job. I said, okay, sure, go ahead, you know, fine. So, of course, they hired him, and we landed here in Falmouth. And that was last August. So we were looking for a church, and I don't know what it was. I'd been in church my whole life, maybe coming out of COVID, or just kind of seeing the brokenness, the divisiveness in our world, in our churches. I was really disillusioned with church. I honestly didn't want to go anymore. I still had faith. I still believed in God, but I really didn't feel like church was a place for me. And so, but I wanted my kids to be raised with values and to know God. So I took my own feelings, and we went to try different churches, and I sat in church and I just prayed that God would let me be in this uncomfortable space. And so the kids and I were out of town, and Michael walked into the doors of FCC. And he says, you really need to come to this church. We need to try this church. The people there were so nice. I said, okay. So, so we come the next weekend, and this was probably like October, or it might have even been the beginning of November. And so granted, let me just back up a minute, and I'll try to be brief. But we had just moved. We were really in a transitional period. Our son had just started 6th grade, our daughter 4th grade. It was almost impossible to buy a home here, and I felt like we were raked through the coals trying to get over here. And I didn't really realize how broken I was when I walked through these doors. But something in my life and my giving to the church that has always stuck with me is 1 John 3:16 through 18. And it says, this is how we know what love is. Jesus Christ laid down his life for us, and we ought to lay down our lives for our brothers and sisters. If anyone has material possessions and sees a brother or sister in need, but has no pity on them, how can the love of God be in that person? Dear children, let us not love with words or speech, but with actions and in truth. So when I walked in these doors, the first thing I noticed was a bin that said, this food, you know, what you could donate for the food pantry. And I said, this church loves people. We were greeted by a number of people who had name tags on. And that makes it so much easier for people that are new. And I thought, this church is very aware of new people and loves people. Pastor Amelia opened the service by saying, you're welcome here, no matter what you look like, who you voted for, how much money you have in your bank account, no matter who you love. And I thought, wow, this church really loves people. And you talked about opening your doors to unhoused people so they could be out of the cold. And I thought, okay, maybe I don't really have to be in that middle space anymore where I'm just accepting that I'm uncomfortable. And last November, the church asked us to pledge money and we'd not been here very long. But Michael and I have learned over our lives together that whatever we give to God, God returns tenfold. And it's always been true. And it's not always been easy, and our lives have not always been great. And last October, Michael's dad was diagnosed with inoperable lung cancer. And this church walked us through, I think, really was the hardest year of my life, because he was so loved. And it was so hard to see someone you love so much suffer and to lose that person. And there was not a time where we felt alone. This church wrapped your arms around us and you said, how can we support you? When we had to travel, either one of us, you guys offered to drive our kids to their activities, to make us meals, drive us to the airport. I mean, this is a time when our family really needed so much love. And God put us in this church, where this church loves people. And they don't just love people because they love people. You all love people because you love God. And it's obvious here. So, I could give you so many more examples, but I'm going to just close there. That every dollar given to this church is used to show God's love to our community and to our world, whether it's seen or unseen. There are a lot of unseen things happening here. And I can tell you that that will never be a bad investment. So let's remember, dear children, let us not love with words or speech, but with actions and in truth.